Nearly a quarter of London boroughs are to get a share of money aimed at reducing the number of pupils being excluded from school. And for the first time, the money, which totals nearly £2 million, will also be spent in primary schools. But will it also increase the pressure on teachers? Here's our Home Affairs correspondent, Sonia Jessup.
How do you prevent children from being excluded from school, from perhaps missing out on a better future? For Jade, excluded from 3 schools is about having someone to listen and to help.
No one knew I was suffering with my mum and dad's divorce. I was between homes. I wasn't getting on with my mum.
After the first exclusion, Jade felt teachers wrote her off. She says she was once told she'd end up in prison or pregnant.
I will always remember that moment because it really, really hurt me and it broke me, and I think it ruined the rest of my time at school. I had no faith in teachers.
Now she's an advisor with London's Violence Reduction Unit. It's pledged almost £2 million for schemes in 7 boroughs. Schools will get support aimed at reducing exclusions. For the first time, that includes primaries.
The key moment is very often the transition between primary school year 6 and into secondary school, and that's where we are putting a lot more support around young people because that's when they kind of sometimes get lost.
Exclusions are a habit. And what you need to do is to break that habit. I don't know teachers.
And here there was an address from the former Director of Education for Glasgow on how they managed to reduce exclusions by almost 90% over a decade. At the same time, youth crime was cut by 50%. But is it fair to ask teachers to have a repeatedly disruptive or violent child in class?
The pressures on teachers are incredible, and the expectation for them to get the results and the outcomes for all of the students in their teaching groups mean that sometimes they don't see any other alternative. But if they're looking back at what is the basis for that poor behaviour or that disruptive behaviour, it's often that the child is not able to engage in the learning for some reason.
If you say to a teacher, like we've often said, do you really want to exclude a young person? And what about if there was another way that we could provide nurture and support, and actually specialist people like therapists or counsellors or psychologists could do the work? Most teachers we speak to would say, yeah, we would want that.
So this isn't about blaming parents, this isn't about blaming teachers, this isn't saying schools aren't doing a good job. It is really saying we know they need more support.
She says there are times when it may be right to remove a child from school, but the aim in London is to drastically reduce exclusions and work with young people to change behaviour. Sonia Jessup, BBC London.